So I made a video talking about the new year, the actual biblical new year. And the biblical new year happens when you actually see the first sliver of the moon, which is the moon Abib. And here's the big thing that then triggers 14 days later what you would want as the Passover, which is the day that the Savior of the world died on. He was the Passover lamb who gave his life for the sins of the world. So this is definitely significant. Very few churches want to talk about it, and it's just not being followed properly across the board. So then you can get into the Torah and read the Torah, read all, which are the first 5 books of the Bible. And when you read it, it says in the Old Testament that they had to send watchmen out and they had to see the first sliver, and then they would blow the trumpet, and when they blew the trumpet, that triggered the new moon, and they knew from that day forward they'd count 14 days to get to the Passover. And I'll show you this because I did research on ChatGPT. They don't do it that way. They do it when there's no moon. So actually, they're actually doing the Passover on the wrong day, biblically. They're actually doing it one day earlier than it should be, because you actually have to see the first sliver of the moon. They're doing it when there's no moon. They call it the new moon, but it's the new moon when you can't see it, when it's not visible. So this is definitely a big, important video. I know most people aren't going to care. Most people are going to think that this is something that means nothing. But the fact of the matter is, it's very significant, because you had to see the first sliver, and that then triggered the new year, the new moon, and 14 days later led to Passover, which was the day that the Savior of the world gave his life so that we can all live with him in his kingdom forever. So yes, this is something that every church in the world should actually be teaching and talking about. We'll see where it goes. I hope it wakes some people up. Check it out.
The Jewish calendar today is based on a calculated lunar cycle rather than direct observation. But in ancient times, the new month, Rosh Chodesh, including the month of Abib, Nisan, was determined by the sighting of the first visible sliver of the new moon. Ancient Torah-based practice. The Torah does not explicitly define how to determine the new month, but historical records indicate that the Sanhedrin relied on eyewitnesses who reported the first sliver of the moon. Once the new moon was confirmed, trumpets were blown and the new month was declared. Numbers 10:10, Psalm 81:3. Why do Jews today begin Abib, Nisan differently? 1. Rabbinic Calculations, 4th century CE Onward. After the destruction of the temple in 70 CE, Jewish leaders, particularly Hillel II in the 4th century, established a fixed mathematical calendar instead of relying on moon sightings. This calendar predetermined Rosh Chodesh based on astronomical calculations. 2. No central authority for moon sightings. Without a functioning Sanhedrin, there was no formal system for accepting eyewitness moon reports, leading to reliance on a fixed lunar cycle. 3. Pharisaic influence over Sadducean practices. The Pharisees emphasized a calculated approach, while the Sadducees and earlier priesthood groups maintained an observational system. The Rabbinic calendar follows the Pharisaic tradition, which became dominant in Judaism. Biblical versus Rabbinic New Year observance. Biblically, the new year, Abib Nisan, begins after the first visible crescent is spotted and confirmed by trumpets. Exodus 12, verse 2, Deuteronomy 16, verse 1. Rabbinically, the new year is preset using calculations, often beginning before the visible crescent appears. Many Messianic believers and Torah-observant groups today seek to return to the original lunar observation method, arguing that the Torah commands actual sighting rather than predetermined cycles.